I'm a little nervous, but I've decided to finally talk about everything that's been going on. I've gotten a lot of messages over the last couple years asking what's been going on. I've had people go from asking if I'm okay, if I'm dealing with health problems. I've had a lot of people speculate that I'm burnt out, that I might retire. And I've even had people just straight up ask me if I even race anymore, which made me cry. That one made me cry more than anything. So before I begin, I wanted to say that I decided to share this because this experience, it was the defining factor of 2019 for me. This is a part of who I am now and always will be, and it will impact the way that I race and I live my life forever. I've moved past a lot of the fear of being judged. So I realized that people were going to judge me no matter what, as much as anyone can judge me for a disease that I have no control over. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to tell my truth and at least be judged for being authentic, because when you're living your real life, other people's opinions don't matter quite as much. With that being said, I beg you to watch the whole video before you comment or pass judgment. This was really hard for me to write and to share and to finally be vulnerable enough to post it. So I would like to avoid unnecessary hate from people that don't get the whole story. I'm not going to compare my disease to the plight of people with a lot worse things than me, but this is my experience, so I'm going to share it anyway. I think kind of the obvious part is 2018. I guess I'll start there, when things changed and then never really went back to normal. 2018 was in many ways shaping up to be the best year of my life. I signed with my dream team, Trek Factory Racing. I graduated from college and I started my pursuit of my Olympic dreams to qualify for the Olympics for 2020. I was starting at the back of every single XC race, but it was amazing. I had some really amazing breakthrough moments. I finished 16th after starting 76th at Val di Sole. I finished on the podium in both events at Nationals, qualified for the Worlds team, and then cross season started off with a bang. I finished second at the World Cup behind Marianne Vos in Waterloo, Wisconsin. I won 8 consecutive races, and out of 15 races, I only finished off the podium once. And then one day the lights went out. And that's the only way that I can describe it. Just one day I went from wanting to win so badly that I would have bled. And then I showed up at one race in November and that feeling was gone. I could not have cared less where I finished or how it went. From there, it kind of started this mystery of what had happened. Like, I've dealt with kind of mysterious stuff throughout my whole career. So it wasn't the first time that I had something like this happen. We tried all the early stuff before we ever really believed that there could be something wrong. Nothing was helping, and at that point the season was over, so I took a bunch of time off and then resumed training. By the time I arrived in Alberstadt, at Alberstadt in 2019, I thought that it was behind me. I mean, it was months ago. And that was not the case. Being in my head at that race was something I'd like to never revisit. I think anyone that's ever struggled with body image, disordered eating, what I call evil brain, knows what I'm talking about. But the person that was driving the ship that day was not me. And it was one of the worst races I've ever had, results wise, but I felt so horrible in my own body. I'm always so hesitant to talk about anything related to body image because I never want anyone to listen to this and then feel bad. But I had put on weight kind of mysteriously, quite a bit, and I just was not feeling well in any way and felt like my brain was on fire and I was just swirling with negative thoughts. And then the irony of any sort of mysterious illness like that is it's the things that you're so tempted to do that actually makes it so much worse. Fortunately, by the time I got back from Nove Mesto in around June, my body had kind of had enough. So all of those things that I was so tempted to do, anything rash with eating or training, was like completely shut down by my body. Basically, all I ended up doing for the better part of a month was leaving to train, making it about as far as my coach's house. I would like lay on his living room floor for hours and then realize that most of the day had gone by and I would go home. Every day for the next several months I thought, today's the day that's going to be different. But it wasn't. I tried so hard to remain optimistic, but it just takes its toll. I had some okay days, but they were never what I was used to, never up to the standard that I had held myself to for years. I would find myself riding at a fraction of the power that I used to, and most days I'd make it 40 minutes into a recovery ride and I would limp home. I had days where I would come home and nap for 3 hours at a time. Yeah, that was my reality, and I hated myself for it. All I had ever really known was riding my bike, so all of my self-worth was measured by how much I could train, how much I could suffer, how much I succeeded. And so when you lose that, what else do you have? How do you wake up and look in the mirror and see yourself as valuable when all you've ever known is success through your sport? How do you like yourself when you've never had a stable body image and then you've seemingly gained 15 pounds overnight? How do you deal with it when you don't know what it is, so you have no way of talking about it? How do you stay sane when anytime you try to talk to a medical professional about it, all they want to know is if you're working with a therapist? At a certain point, I became so dejected that I basically just gave up. Eventually, I found a doctor that was basically my last hope. It was the Thursday before the first race of the season. He looked at my extensive lab reports. He gave me a full physical exam. And the biggest thing is he listened. He said to me, "You have an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's disease." When I got home, I cried. I knew actually a lot about Hashimoto's because I had done a lot of research myself. I knew that it's chronic. I knew that it can be really bad if left untreated. I knew that it was autoimmune. I knew all of it, and I cried out of relief. Finally, someone told me that all of the things that had been wrong with me for a year, fatigue, lethargy, weight gain, brain fog, migraines, dry skin, thin hair, there was something tangible that caused all of it. There was something that we could find in my blood that showed that I didn't make this up. Do I feel like crap because I'm depressed, or am I depressed because my career is on the line? I can't do anything that I loved, and absolutely no one believes that there's anything going on. So I got my diagnosis, and yeah, all along that's all I cared about. I thought that I would get my diagnosis, fix it, and move on. Therein lies why I never spoke about it. I knew that any diagnosis, anything medical related going online was something to be avoided. I wanted to avoid this shitstorm as much as I could from internet doctors. I decided to suffer relatively in silence and just trust my doctor's prognosis, which was 2 weeks to start feeling better, 6 weeks to be 100% back to normal. Well, if you've followed my racing or my career at all, you know that that's not how that went. 6 weeks after I saw my doctor, not only did I not feel better, but I actually felt a little bit worse. But here, my friends, is where this very story starts to take a very slight turn for the better. This is where I become the hero of my own story. I researched and researched and researched anything I could find. I made some really serious lifestyle changes. A few weeks later, I actually felt better. After months of just putting one foot in front of the other, day after day, just trying to survive, I had my first breakthrough. I started training again, just a little bit, but I was over the moon just to have some semblance of what I used to be able to do. If you've ever been through anything like this, you know what that feels like. So life got better. Mostly I started to feel all right. Mostly I was training mostly consistently. And I even won back-to-back UCI races in December, which was pretty amazing for me. And then I got the flu. and I had to miss nationals. I think that my body was so tired from fighting after those months and months and months of just pushing myself through it all, that I just didn't bounce back. And so I made the really hard decision to just call the season. I was ready to finally give myself the break that I needed, and I ended up taking 2 complete months off the bike. Once I started training again, I actually faced a lot of setbacks that I never anticipated. I began to get frustrated that I wasn't cured, and I got really impatient. I just wanted to figure this out and just move on. That's all I could think about. And at the peak of my obsession of fixing myself and curing it, my lab results came back the worst that they ever had. I was devastated. And if you've wondered what brought me to making this video now, here's why. I was seeing it as something that I needed to defeat. Autoimmune diseases are chronic and they will never go away. And yet I always viewed it as something that would take a few weeks and I'd be able to go on with my normal life. I had to reframe it and try to look at it like an injury. If I had blown out my knee and needed a knee replacement, would I be thinking that this was something that if I just worked hard enough, I'd be able to get back to my old knee? No, I need to work and strengthen and adapt to the new knee. As my dad said when he was diagnosed with cancer, this is the new normal. We have to accept our situation and grow from here. I also realized that there was something else in my mindset that was really holding me back. I was hurting myself by harboring this secret. I thought I could keep it a secret because I never thought that it would impact me this long. The secret makes you feel ashamed. I was absolutely ashamed of my disease. And I was ashamed of how much it impacted my career. I've decided to come out with it because I deserve this part of my story. I deserve that warrior feeling of overcoming and succeeding, just like all of the other badasses that have overcome injury, setback, grief, loss, mental health. I also decided to share because the longer that I held in this secret, the less I felt like myself. There were and still are days where I could not feel further from the person that I used to be. I was going through so much last year, so many really painful experiences. There was this huge part of my life that was missing that I had never shared. So how can you really feel like you're being real if the major defining factor of the last 2 years was completely missing? And I've kept that up as I resent myself for not training as consistently as I've liked, resenting myself for fluctuating weight, resenting myself for not getting better sooner. I stopped enjoying bike rides a long time ago because every single day the only thing that mattered was just using it as a test to see whether or not I had gotten better. Every minute of the ride was devoted to looking at my power and seeing if it was going up or down. In conclusion, I know that I'm still very much facing these struggles. I still have a lot of bad days. I've had some good ones though, and I feel like the more time goes on, the more good days I have than bad. And I don't ever want to lose that perspective of gratitude for the good days. The more that I can embrace my body and be gentle with it, I think the better things will be. Trying to kill it with fire and just move on wasn't working. After all, an autoimmune disease literally means that your body attacks its healthy cells. So why should I be attacking my body for attacking itself? I can't really imagine that that's that effective. I know that there is like a really real benefit of opening up about this because I'm not alone and I don't need to feel that I am. So I have to start fresh. I have to get this off my chest. I need to get back to the person that I'm proud of being. I'll never be the person that I was before all of this, and I'm at peace with that. But I want to get to the person that I was meant to be next. And I don't think that being inauthentic about the struggles of having an autoimmune disease will get me there.